And we are on. It's a free flow Saturday. We are late by
Man, almost an hour.
45, 45 minutes. And I think we should take this opportunity to celebrate the true African spirit of lateness. So,
Yeah. So my incident was somebody was supposed to deliver a package, and I had to sit somewhere waiting for it because I didn't want to get the live disrupted. I didn't want to start it and then midstream I'm rushing to go collect something. So, and it's all about communication, setting the right expectations. If you're running late, which is reasonable, that can happen to any of us because of one issue or the other. It's just a matter of communicating and saying, okay, you're going to be running late, expect your package to come around this time. But somebody gives you a call over an hour before saying it's on the way and says you have prioritized your package, you'll be the first one in the queue. Now, when I spoke to the motor guy who was delivering, he tells me, no, I just got the package about 30 minutes ago. So I'm like, I've been waiting for you for over an hour, close to an hour and a half from the time we spoke. I thought that time is when you set off to come to my direction. So anyway, yeah, it's I don't know why we are prone to lying, why we feel we need to lie. It baffles me because I would rather tell you the fact that, you know, because of one reason or the other, your package is running late. Expect it probably 20 minutes late. Somebody takes 25 plus or minus. It's not bad. But then when it runs into an hour and a half, then
and
this is
was there some form of an apology call?
nothing, nothing. No apology, no follow up to confirm you've received. And then sometimes, you feel, however much you complain, is like you're talking to a stone.
Well, then you wonder why someone will come from Europe and set up a food vendor and literally overrun everyone.
And then you say that they have
Hmm.
Muzungu privilege or the racism or,
Yeah,
all these
someone will come here and like it's happening in Kenya. Someone is selling us chicken and potatoes in a place with warm ambience,
yes.
selling us at very high prices. Why?
100%.
Because we can't do that. Is there a shortage of chicken and potatoes in Kenya? No. But since we are unable to package our services properly, someone is coming here, is taking the chicken, is dipping it in some funny, some sauce made of wheat and whatnot, making it crunchy. That's the only thing is doing to that product. And we are very happy. We are going to KFC, KCF, and whatnot. And this is just normal chicken, as though we don't have chicken here in this country.
It's even of, if you are to compare it with our local, non-GMO chicken, it's of
Mm.
lower quality.
Yeah.
It's
But
of lower,
because they
that's how
know,
they're packaged well. And then
yeah,
customer service is good.
because they know how to package it, they're
Mm.
winning. But us, like, we are in 2023, and we still have things like shanty kiosks. Somebody doesn't want to dip an extra coin of money into just some good interior, huh? Just a nice interior. You are going to look for the cheapest material, look for the shabbiest looking people to serve people, and you are okay with that.
You know, Customer
And
service is
just
actually,
yeah, just to point out, KFC in Europe is the cheapest.
yeah,
Is like low tier food joint.
that's the Kibandaski for them.
Yeah, huh? We really are. what we call standardless. I'm very sure if you sort of went to NTSA and got a license for something like a very huge cart, and you put donkeys there for people to travel in, I'm sure you'll get customers. Hii ni bei rahisi, nenda na punda, people will board it. Our capacity to say these are our national standards, zero. Zero. You look at in the what they are calling illicit brew. As much as the government would have taken the opportunity to standardize, to sort of help these people, these business people, they are also to blame. Why can't they sit down and come up with their own standards, come up with a very nice setup, come up with the equipment? Most for food is normally stainless steel. Say this is the standard, this is the serving area, how it should be. Then you go to KEBS, because KEBS does not, you see, it is we to come up with a product, develop a standard, and take it to KEBS. KEBS does not manufacture anything. Government doesn't manufacture anything. It is the manufacturer who has the standard. The originator of a product is the one who has a standard. The government doesn't originate anything. So you come up with that, what we call the local brew standard. You work with the professional, build it. That looks so nice that you can even park your car there and take a sip of something. Take it to KEBS. Bring them over for inspection. This is the kind of the silverware that will be used. This is the kind of you can use. If, like, I've worked in bottling industry, there's what you call automated bottle washing system. You can say, for standards, this is what we use to wash our containment for the alcohol. This is the rinsing system. This is the alcohol preparation system. For you to be part of this local brew system, these are the qualifications you need. These are the health issues you need. This is the periodic health inspection procedure you need. Like every 3 months, there has to be an inspection. Every 3 months, there has to be like an injection, like they do for the food handlers and such stuff. And you'll find yourself there. But since we want to work in these very dirty places, whereby when they opened up those local brew content, they even find rats inside there. Even if you're a small scale businessman, what are you doing with the rats? A rat has no business. No matter how small your business, a rat has no place in a food joint, no matter how small. Flies have no place in a food joint, no matter how small. We need to have an excellent, what we call urinary system. Because people, when you are drinking, you need to go for a short call. There has to be a very elaborately set up system for human waste and human waste disposal and such stuff. When it comes to acquisition of raw materials, local brew is supposed to be made from fermented material. It should be natural, food grade fermented material, either it is maize or whatever that can be fermented, but it should be food grade and safe, which should be documented. So if you sit down, if this local brewers sat down and come up with that system, they will be safe. They will be safe from this government problem. But when you look at some of these places, some of how these Mama Pima places look like, the condition look deplorable. So when these police officers, the chiefs, come storming in like commando style, we really can't blame them. After all, these are the people causing blindness. There was time people went blind. And as much as we believe in people getting empowered, you have to empower yourself within a particular standard. So as long as you're not keeping standards, you are making yourself very, very vulnerable to government scrutiny. Even, for example, when they are doing this so-called, for example, between a Matatu and a Mercedes-Benz, which driver will get where when approaching a roadblock? The Matatu guy will always, in fact, some of them will actually reach their hand to the conductor and nipatia hamsini hapo haraka haraka. because they know that vehicle is already faulty from the word go. And as much as we may lay blame on the traffic department, but the matatus have placed themselves in such a situation.
Mm.
Yeah. But if somebody driving a Mercedes Benz will just drive, even if you may be having one small error, chances are you just go through because the expectation from a Mercedes that is put on the Mercedes Benz is very high from the expectation put on the Matatu. Because they look at the Matatu driver, he looks shabby, conductor looks shabby, they are wearing sandals, the music that is playing there is eardrum busting, the vehicle is 50% broken down. Unatakaje sasa? Even you've seen how dogs behave. When a shabby person passes near a dog, the dog gets worked up. So, hey, unataka nini hapa bwana?
And you know, you've raised a good thing, setting standards.
Hmm.
I don't know why we tend to gravitate. I think this is what um, George likes to say, gravitating to the lowest denominator. I think something in those terms. It's like we don't desire excellence. We don't desire the best for ourselves enough for us to aspire for that. And you've given a good example about our own beer. You know, we might complain that, you know, the likes of EABL and others are always looking down to denigrate our own local breweries. But who has come up with a well-packaged product, put it up to the standards of EABL, enough to compete with EABL? There's very little. There's actually a good example that was highlighted by Boniface Mwangi of a Kenyan brewery that took the big awards from a recent Africa Beer Cup, sort of competition that was held in Cape Town. Let me actually just quickly share this tweet that Boniface Mwangi shared. And apparently, this is actually a Muzungu-run establishment running in Kikuyu town. It's a company called the 254 Brewery.
Where is it?
It's in Kikuyu.
Okay.
And apparently, this guy realized one of the reasons why the beer was such a hit from the local consumers is, if you read this one, it says the people felt it tasted. Let me see where they say. They say this thing tastes like Muratina, our very own local brew. And it's because of, sort of the ingredients he sourced are all local. And he realized Muratina is actually a very good beer. It's just that no one has packaged it. If you still put it in your little guas and dirty tins and those kind of things, who's going to buy it? But this Muzungu comes in, puts up something like this. He goes ahead to South Africa and he competes. And apparently it was one. Let me go to the website here so that you can see it. Let me stop this one and share. And it's all about standards.
Yeah, standards.
It's all about aspiring for excellence. It's all about being sensitive. We are all talking about, look at here, at the IPA category, we were number 2, bronze. This company called 254 Brewing Company, which had the brand called Sand Trap, which is that, I think the one which was Muratina is this one here. Again, actually this is 3rd position. I don't know who was the gold here. So it got the bronze. And then here under the Strong Belgian Ale, it won with that product of its called Muratatu. And it took a Muzungu to come all the way to Africa. And because he has some higher standards, took our own product, just packaged it in something nice, and put it out there. and it was able to compete with the best of the best. So it's not a lack of us lacking the resource, or it's just us desiring the best for ourselves.
What is the name of the brand?
It's called, so the company itself is called 254 Brewery and Company. You even search for it online. It has got two products. One is called the Sand Trap, which was under the IPA category. And then the other one called Muratatu, which was under the Strong Belgium Ale category. You even see if I can get the company. I think they probably are the ones running that place called the Brewery District. I'm not sure if it's the one. Let me share their page. So, and it's an Irish guy who is running this outfit. He came and established it here.
While we are busy opening malls and what we call free marks and doing all sorts of.
It's good you remind me of that name. I remember Freemax. I guess that's where that term of exhibitions came from.
Yeah, exhibition. They used to be called Freemark in I think 2000 and 2002 and late 90s. 1998 is where they really 98, 99 Apple.
I remember one
Where
of my relatives had a stand.
Oh, these are the brands.
These are the brands. So the one that won was this one, Muratatu and Sand Trap.
Okay.
I think I'll probably look out for them.
That means this guy has a bottle washer. And,
no, yes, it's an entire outfit. I don't know if you saw the images on this. Let me show you from this. From the tweet that Boniface Mwangi shared, because he shared a picture of, I think, of some of the employees in that facility. So you go here, you can see one of the images here. This is the brewery itself. I think within there they probably have a restaurant or some kind of a retail shop.
Okay, this one is a very what do I call it? It's a very high. I call it a very capital intensive setup that I cannot place it upon our local Muratina, the local traditional brewers do. As much as this is very, very nice, my thinking was, that Mama Pima place or whatever, just modernize it. Modernize it in form of, even now because of our friends in China, you can have very tiny brewing and fermenting units the size of my sitting room.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called miniaturization. Because if you can have a maize mill facility being installed on a flatbed truck, Bula has it. The company called Bula, they have what you call a flatbed loaded maize milling facility. Yeah. So in fact, I used to talk to them some time back and told them that facility be integrated with the packaging unit. So yes, you just, as you normally say, wewe na mfuko wako, pay for it, will integrate because the packaging facilities are there. The packaging system. So integrate the milling and the packaging. All of them fitted on a flatbed truck. So you can have something the size of this sitting room where the fermentation and whatnot takes. Then the next room is a very nice, neat, clean place whereby you now, after from the storage, you can even, to make it even more juicier, you may have two division of tanks, those Mfereji containers. One is chilled, other one is normal temperature, whereby unapima kwa vikombe, very clean cups.
So it's kind of like a fairly large scale, the way you have this milk ATMs, as they call them, or because there are ATMs now for almost anything. There's for milk, I think there's for cooking oil, there's for water.
So this one you make it.
a business venture.
Yeah, so whereby at the back end, the same way a hotel operates in a hotel, food is cooked in the back end, correct?
Yes.
So here, the alcohol is prepared at the back end. And there are
Mhm.
so many products available you can make alcohol with. For example, fresh bananas. We do
Mhm.
not have any factory or any processing system that consumes fresh bananas in bulk in Kenya. I've not heard of any.
Mhm.
Eh, bananas, fresh bananas. And then the beauty of fresh bananas, the peelings, you can use them to make fertilizer
Mhm.
using an organic fertilizer unit. So the fresh
And
bananas you
mhm.
distill, it is kept, you have your containers at the back end with a refrigeration unit, like a medium size refrigerant, usually another one for holding just normal temperature. So all the customers are seated like in a normal bar. But what happens, you just notaka baridi ama moto. It is brought to you. Plain and simple. And to avoid this issue of cartelism and whatnot, make it like an ecosystem. Your processing unit and your what do you call it? Your own venue or your own premises, and then you can do what you call delivery, whereby someone has an event, you can send him a canister with a tap. Simple as that.
It's
So
kind of like
instead of
the way
somebody
they.
going to instead of somebody going to a changaden, you meet somewhere in your house and then you buy the full canister. So
Yes, yes.
option one, you want chill almost. The chill will come with those, carbo cooler. That one is cooled using carbon dioxide, compressed. It's
Mhm.
brought there, and they tell you it will remain cold for like 2 hours. Who does that? It's delivered. For example, you want to set up a drinking spree at your backyard. Make a call. It is brought there. What is preventing Kenyans from doing that? And to make it more, what is going to make this cheap? Because it is made from bananas. There's no barley which is imported. I don't know from where. Made from bananas. Because bananas, for one, in the planting of bananas, there's nothing like fertilizer and whatnot. They just grow.
This reminds me of that last conversation we had in terms of setting up this sort of industrial zones,
Yes,
but industrial zones made up of cottage industries,
yes,
and cottage industries in the realest of sense, because this
yes,
is what you're talking about in terms of miniaturization.
mm,
And we spoke of items like USB cables,
yes,
those units that produce that, these are highly small. You can put them in a small room, churn out a number of cables that you can then put out in the market and sell.
mm, yeah,
How about if each town had its own beer? And
yeah,
all the government needs to do is lay out this. Actually, now instead of government giving out free land to people to build houses and homes, should be free land where they build these industrial zones, and it's just putting an entire steel structure, a big one, which you can then even partition. Now would be probably looking at exhibitions. When you're talking of the free marks, what are they
mm,
mostly about? These were people getting items exported into the country, I think, at zero tax. Actually, most of them used to have this term of magendo.
mm, mm,
Magendo, which was you've actually evaded tax, so you're
mm,
able to sell these items that you've gotten either from Turkey, China, wherever, because these were exports. They were all exports, actually not primarily. They were all literally exports that you could get at an affordable cost, and it's because somebody somewhere, I don't know if a lot of it was sanctioned legally, but there were a lot of illegal exports that were brought in, and the people are able to get little shops. And then you find it's all, we are so caught up in boutiques and little things that are not productive. It's consumerism. So government should look at some of these things if they are looking to really grow a more manufacturing base. This is an approach to take. Let's go through the approach of cottage industries, and cottage industries in the realness of sense, not just a term we put on paper. It looks good to present it out there in media and in other places, but cottage industries in its realest sense. And that's how economies like the likes of India and China have literally grown. Now, if you think of India now, it's a manufacturing powerhouse. Look at the trucks they are producing. If it's Tata, look at the motorcycles they are producing. I mean, man, and it's all about, you're trying to get people from the informal sector. So figuring out the Juakalis, how do you formalize them? And as you formalize, yeah.
I was trying to have a conversation with someone in the Juakali sector. This is another group of people. I think they lost the plot. It's like, I call it generational plot loss and poverty muscle memory. Those metallic suitcases that you see children carrying.
Yes,
Those
the
things have
boxes.
been made, I don't know, since 2019, I don't 19, I don't know, 70 what.
We all use them in going to high school, boarding school,
Nobody has thought of changing the design. Nobody has thought of coming up with what we call a stamp, aluminum stamp. Is it aluminum stamp? Or you can work with fiberglass, so that you have a mold, either for fiberglass mold, you can choose fiberglass or aluminum. So that the machine will just be churning out the upper and the lower part, the lid and the container, churning out like 200 of them per hour. Then these guys, then next we have to have what we call an automatic spraying system. It will just spray them in whatever color you want. Then the next will be lining, because those things, do they have lines? Just a metallic thing. You do not lining.
No, they don't. I mean, the most recent.
If the Batimbaya, you have loaded your things on a top carrier and you are traveling on a hot environment, my friend, you hata chuma kuishika is a problem. When you open, your things have really heated up. It's not presentable. It is not in line with the country that is in 2023. In fact, by 2000, let us 1999, that design could have been. In fact, I'm yet to see a product whose design has remained it is since 1980. Everything that was made in 1980 has changed. That tells you the mentality of these people. So you can imagine someone was born there, seeing his father doing that. He's doing the same thing. He's given birth. Probably his son is a teenager. He's sick. So you'll see them with nyundos lifting, and so we are going to be doing this from.
There's no R&D. There's no R&D. There's no
product improvement.
Product improvement continues. The most I did see most recently that somebody had put some wheels on it, such that now you can roll it down like your normal, travel suitcase. But
what about the design?
Just basic design. There's nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. And I mean, if these guys were smart, it would get to a point where they can even brand them with the schools. Tell schools what we can do. We partner with you. So if you are Alliance High School, all the students come in with Alliance High School branded suitcases, and that kind of personalization, there needs to be an evolution of the product to see where it came from to where it is now. But now if we look at it 10, 50 years back, it's still the same old product. If anything, maybe it's gone even worse.
That thing by now should have been a full factory. See, when you have a factory, number one, starting from basic principle, with the factor one, you have procurement, you have raw materials inspection, you have production, you have quality control, you have warehousing, you have marketing, you have transport. Those are 7 departments. That is, we are looking at employment. Employment is telling you, here, I'm here, come take me. And you are busy in a gang. And the problem is that when you get sick, because when you are doing this all the time, chances are something wrong is happening to your body. Because after a while, you get X here, mugongo, happy, and whatnot. Your lifespan is messed up. When you are going to your 60s, you can't even sit comfortably. I have a video for Volvo plant in Belgium where they only assemble and paint. There's a part of the factory where something has to be lifted manually. Those guys are building what we call an exoskeleton. An exoskeleton is something that you wear on your back and it follows your hands so that when you lift, it automatically lifts for you. So it seems easier. It's like, when you're in the gym
It's
and you're
lighter.
trying to lift a metal that is slightly high and someone has to prop you up. Now, something
Yes.
like that. Yes. So it's charged up with a battery. When it's full, you wear it. So when you lift something, a moment it senses that you are lifting something, it picks up on its own. So you look like you are lifting, but you are just going with the motions.
Yeah. I think I saw there was also another video I saw of two people carrying, these two-door fridges.
Mhm.
Now it's like they were delivering to a house, and they
Mm.
strap something in their around their body,
Mm.
and man, they can lift that thing without
Yeah, it's called
it
an
feeling
exoskeleton.
exoskeleton.
Exo.
Exo.
Exoskeleton.
Exo.
EXO. Like external
EXO.
skeleton. External skeleton.
Skeleton.
Mm.
Examples. Let me even see the examples.
Mm.
But yeah, I always marvel when I look at. The other day, I was even marveling around somebody just showing us, the what it takes to put up a safari rally car. And somebody would even geek out on things like the aerial helicopter that was going around taking the pictures. They showed the camera, and you can see the details that went to prepare it. And even sometimes I watch another video of some guy who is a fishing guy. That's all the channel is about.
Mm.
But so much technical aspects of it, from the rails to the roads to you can think of anything, and you can see there's a continuous improvement happening. These guys are getting feedback from their consumers. Oh no, this road is not so good. And every time I see the guy changing, oh no, what we are looking for is this kind of fish. So
Oh, you mean like a fishing rod?
a fishing rod, it's got a reel within
Yeah,
it.
for reeling in the fish.
Yes, there are some that are manually done. There are some that are electric. They run by themselves, and they're even specific to the fish, to the part of the sea where you at, where either there are big currents and whatever. And these people is like they have studied all manner of elements. I just marvel at that aspect of people geeking out on something and just going deep in it. It's like somebody's whole life is dedicated on that. And he knows, I'm constantly studying these elements to see how it can be better, it can be improved. Um, it's like, and it's like for us, we don't understand that concept. We are still using our manual hands. It's all brawn
Stone
based.
Age. Stone
It's
Age in
Stone
2023.
Age.
And what I find to be even when you look at things like the frying pans that are made with somebody stepping with one leg here, another here, then he's busy hammering and pounding away. And we have a
Yes.
minister for industrialization.
Yes.
Minister for industrialization should ensure that manual gonga gonga is done away with
Yes.
completely. If you are found hitting things, you are going to be charged with what we call endangerment to safety.
Mm.
Because but you can only do that when you have set facilities.
Mm.
Whereby these sufurias, if you are hammering, that machine has produced 10 sufurias in 1 minute.
Exactly.
1 minute. And you make it into cottage style, where these are a rig that can be locked somewhere in the morning, you switch it up, connect qua power,
Hmm.
You collect your machuma, place them there. You just press a button, sit and wait,
Mhm.
and it start producing for you. But he gonga, mallets and manyundo, and then one day your foot slips and you end up hammering your toe.
Mm.
And NHIF has problems now. We don't know some services and you don't know some patients were killed. You end up now your toe is messed up. You can't even get
Mm.
out of your house. Then you are forced to go back to your home area with nothing because one you are not able to save. That thing is not sustainable.
It's not.
Yeah. So after years there, factories will make you drive a car. If you own a factory and you are driving like a Toyota Premio, with 3 years you should be in the Prado and the Range Rover Pajero level. But hii
Mm.
gonga, I don't think you'll even park a vehicle there, even a Toyota EE 110 out of 2002. You won't.
Yeah, by the time that guy stands 50, he's so worn out, bro. Yeah.
So, and
And,
then
and, and then it's even age
and we have
based.
a minister for industrialization. That's what I find to be a bit strange. We have a
Mm.
minister for industrialization.
Mm.
So, some of these factories, these gonga, should be modernized, then transferred to the rural areas
Exactly.
to clear away the city should be just be a financial hub.
Yes, I mean, most towns, I mean, the challenge should have been with government telling counties, we want you to develop industrial zones. That's why you're going to create jobs. It's a
So
no,
that
not going to
when you
create
are
jobs out of
when you-
construction of houses. Yes,
when
there will be there, but what's the
how
long term
no
effect of that?
and then once the houses are completed, what happens?
Correct.
But now when you have things like you pass a law that from now on, especially targeting the counties in rural areas, Busia, Bungoma, Vihiga, Machakos, Kitui, whatnot, encourage things like bar soap, things like detergent,
Exactly.
things like margarine, the daily consumables should come from small, suitably sized factories that are based there.
Yes.
Then we now have a competition in efficiency. Who are more efficient? Who are more environmental friendly? Who are good
Exactly.
at recycling?
Yeah.
Such kind of that is now a contest, industrial contest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when that happens, we now have these counties now, since they are small factories, they develop. Then we have three counties merging to set up one huge complex that is spanning both countries that will employ in the employment, what do you call the employment strategy, 50% from one county, 50% from another county, because it's a merger of of two organizations. Because we don't have.
Actually,
uh,
even the way they may want to structure it is to see where the, you know, centers of excellence exist for certain
yes,
products.
yes.
Maybe
Mm,
for places around the breadbasket of Kenya where there's a lot of milk production and whatever,
mm,
they should take up aspects around creamery and milk
yes.
products.
Mm.
If it's Machakos, we are endowed with a lot of some of this cement mining. Cement
And
should be coming from from Machakos.
mangoes also, things like mangoes, yeah, they.
Mangoes, yes.
Mm,
So we are now the
mm,
ones producing the mango juices, all
mm.
the sort of byproducts you can produce of mangoes. And is
Things
that is
like
that value production
thing,
that we need to do?
things like this product. Maybe I could just do a quick Swahili to English translation because I only know it in Swahili. Let
Mm.
me see if I can get it in English. It's called they're just calling it peas, the mbaazi. These brown peas, the mbaazi.
Yes.
They come from. There's nowhere else that mbaazi grows apart from Ukambani. You should have been monetized.
Oh
Make
yeah, yeah.
some world-class project because
We actually
if
call them zoo.
there was
Yeah.
a company that was making a product called, I don't know if it's there, it's called Kenilon beans.
Yes. I
They
know
just put
Kenilo.
in another they just boil beans, weka vitu
In a
package
tin,
and
yeah.
sell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can touch on that.
And
That
then
thing,
we are just talking of agricultural products. Now, when it comes to sort of industrial based, as we are talking of
yes.
things like USBs,
Mm,
you know,
mm,
even the government can decide to put out, say,
mm,
these are some of the key industrial zones that we wish to
mm,
produce in Kenya.
mm, mm,
Maybe, and it can be based on a certain research where we are seeing a
mm,
need both locally and also externally. Externally
mm,
being, let's tap in even the regional markets. It could be saying
mm,
we want to champion to be the USB production within Africa or within even the region. We'll be producing first, we'll consume it internally, and then we'll even
mm,
sell it locally. There was even at the time of Alfred Mutua, when he was the governor of Machakos, I think he wanted to
mm,
bring the retreading industry of tires
mm, mm,
in Machakos. I
mm.
think he had at the time said he was going to be in partnership with a British company because tires after they have been used, it's not that you can throw them away, you can retrade them and they'll be as good as new and put them back in the market and they'll be utilized. But
Okay,
now they're
retreads, for retreads, you have to
mm,
be careful.
mm,
They look good,
mm-hmm,
but they are not good as new. So what you do, I
mm-hmm,
don't know if there's such a standard, but I think also due to common sense, these are big transporters. The
yes.
treated retreads are normally used on the trailer, the rear end.
Ah,
You
so
don't
it's
use a retread on the prime mover. You are
mm,
looking for death. Use a retread on a prime mover, and there are
the
some
rear
places where
wheels.
retreads have no business in.
Mm,
That is for buses, a vehicle that is carrying over 40 passengers.
mm,
Most level-headed transporters will tell you we don't put retreads on buses. But for trucks, the
mm,
rear end, you
mm.
can use a retread very well.
And personal cars. How about personal cars?
What normally the problem that happens the retread after
Mm,
a while you see that layer that they place
mm,
tends to sort of peel out
mm.
without
Then it,
warning.
okay.
But so you are more safe when the peel out is on that trailer itself at the
Okay.
rear end. You are a bit safe. It's all about risks because
Mm,
a vehicle carrying 45 or 67 people, then you are
mm.
putting a tire that can peel out
There's a
under some
higher risk of, yeah.
very. But most big, I know my former boss used to be a big shot in Mozambique. They had 60 trailers, and the law was not law for government law. The internal policy was that to
Mm-hmm,
cut costs, we can put retreads, but strictly on the rear end.
mm-hmm.
Strictly on the rear end. Because the rear end goes wrong, at least you have a prime mover that is
Yeah.
having good tires that can control. But it is still an industry on its own. There are factories which make retreads and they make them very well. The
Mm-hmm.
good thing that they tell you this is a retread and this is what you should expect from it. Now, the problem with us, we may take that product and just do our own things. Somebody can go, a Kenyan can go into a factory, buy a very huge band of retreads, and change the marking
It's new.
and sell it as new. We are Kenyans,
Yeah.
that's what we do.
Yeah, that's true. And I know sort of the quality control
Mm.
around that can become
Tricky.
quite a tricky thing
Yeah.
in terms of
Someone
how
can
to
buy them, the retreads
do
are
that.
cheaper. He can
Mhm.
buy the cheap retreads in bulk, set up his own factory for defacing and reprinting.
Mm,
So you go buy them, very huge for your vehicles. Then you start getting tire bursts and strip. But in fact, with the riches, not even don't worry about tire burst. Is the
mm,
stripping off of that top part. So we are who we are, and we are actually endangering ourselves. Like when someone tells you we set up a nuclear power plant, Kenyans, nuclear power plant, and we want to maybe that company has some spare parts which have to be of a certain quality for things to work. And someone tell you, "Ah, we can get this one from China, Bay Rice." You have a problem. So we are who we are. But I think also we are spreading our madness to other countries. I got a report that in the US Air Force,
mm.
spare parts for an F-22 fighters, spare parts worth 85 million are not known where they are.
85 million.
$85 million
Yes.
worth of spare parts gone. No one knows
No,
where
no,
they are.
there is actually in the US government, there's some crazy corruption going on there. There's even $1 billion worth haul that could not be identified in with in Pentagon. So it's not. We have our own issues in terms of corruption.
And we have to fight our issues from within.
Yeah,
This
but
issue of calling from somebody from outside, it has to be an attitude issue. And that's where the problem is. I don't know. And then I think we are now again slipping into a wrong trajectory. This issue of we should no, you don't be corrupt. You
yeah,
as Andrew Mutua, me as Bran, we should not be. This issue of we have to, we need to.
start with the
Yes.
I, the
Yes.
individual.
In the meantime, we have been running for around 45 minutes. I think if it's ending, I've sent you two pictures.
Okay.
Maybe you
Yeah.
can share them. A
Let
very
me.
strange event happened in 2020, in March 2020, concerning those two subjects I've just sent you right now. And if you can just post it, just post both of them.
Yeah. Can you see them?
Yes, that is one, and the next one.
Yeah. The next one, you just I just move with this.
Mhm. You've, I'm only seeing the first one. Yes. Now, those are two vessels. One is a navy vessel, another one looks like a cruise ship.
Mm-hmm.
If this, if these some of these two vessels were to fight, which one would win?
It looks like the first one. I would pick the first one.
Then you will be on the losing end.
Uh,
That cruise ship sank
yes.
that navy vessel.
What?
That cruise ship sank that navy vessel.
How? How was it?
You see, the cruise ship is
Uh-huh.
a is a German cruise ship
Mm-hmm.
that operates is for when you want to go to view penguins. That's the
Mm-hmm.
vessel. Is a German vessel called Resolute.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think remember which sea exactly,
Mm-hmm.
but that vessel had some engine problems. So they were repairing it and they managed to get it running. By
Mm-hmm.
the time they are in international waters.
Mm-hmm.
So when they managed to get it running, this other vessel
Mm-hmm.
is a Venezuelan
Mm-hmm.
uh, patrol vessel,
Mm-hmm.
started bullying them, telling them to follow them into the Venezuelan harbor.
Mm-hmm.
That German vessel, the way it's, in fact, the German vessel was behaving as by its name, it's called the Resolute.
Mm-hmm.
The
It was
Resolute,
resolute.
the name is a vessel Resolute.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "We are in international waters, there's no way we are following you there."
Mm-hmm.
So that vessel, the Venezuelans started firing on that boat,
Mm-hmm.
warning shots. They started firing, but the Germans said, you are going to shoot us until we sink. Otherwise, you are not turning, you are not changing direction."
Mm-hmm.
So the Venezuelan vessel decided to do another type of bullying tactic
Mm-hmm.
by trying to ram this German vessel.
Mm-hmm.
Now remember, this German vessel is meant for touring the Arctic region to see penguins. So
Mm-hmm.
the hull is reinforced so that it can actually sustain the impact of icebergs.
Mm-hmm.
So it has a reinforced hull. That reinforcement is not present on the Venezuelan boat.
Mm-hmm.
So this thing came, hit the German vessel, and it sunk.
It's like a baby hitting an adult. Eh? So it sank itself by hitting the German vehicle. So it was very sturdy. Eh?
Yeah. So you can imagine even the quality involved. You are building a navy vessel that doesn't have, so if it can get heat, it
By a
can
cruise
ram
ship.
some. What about that? Means it can't even sub. It can even be shot. It can be sunk by a few with an AK-47. That's what they're trying to imply.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you can even, Venezuela is known as a very corrupt country. You can even let maybe some corruption was involved in manufacturing that vessel. Obviously, the contractor was
Percent.
told this is the
Yeah.
material needed for constructing a navy vessel. But no, tupatie ile ya bei rahisi ile. Here we are. You have
Twende
a
na ile
navy
cheap,
vessel,
cheap option
that is being sunk
by a cruise
by
ship.
a cruise ship. Now, what if they run into Navy Marine,
Oh my
German
goodness.
Marine? It's going to be a walkover.
It will be a complete walk in the park.
So
So
that's how the
interesting
situation is.
story.
Uh,
Interesting story. So
mm,
yeah, I think we could close it with that. I don't want to
mm.
keep you on after delaying you for close to an hour.
No issue,
That
but at
was a
least we had a show. We had a show.
we had a show.
The,
I think trying to we've discussed aspiring for excellence and
yes,
desiring the best for ourselves,
yes.
and still going on in terms of how do we grow our industrial base. I think the cottage industry approach, and it's man, I think we are the ones who've lost our minds.
We are the mad people.
We are the mad people, man.
We
Because
are
every
the
time I'm
people.
like,
The solution
I
is so
mean,
open. It's
it,
the solution
it,
is open. Maybe even 1 plus 1 is 9, not 2.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Because even let's say these guys want to eat, could they also eat by a way of using this approach?
But eating
Even if
occurs everywhere
somebody,
in the world.
if somebody has to eat a manufacturing zone being built across various major markets in Kenya.
But eating occurs everywhere. But it is the
Exactly.
style of eating. Let's say we have a cow. If we are in a developed country, we have a cow. Maybe me and you are the president and deputy president. We have a cow that produces, I don't know, 10 liters per day. So we're going to say, listen, what we do out of those 10 liters, I take one for my house, you take one for your house, and 8 is available.
And still charge at 10 liters.
Yes, and then to ensure that we have something to steal every day, the food stuff that is given to the cow is top condition, so
Yes.
that we have our 2 liters available every day.
Yeah.
So now, if you are in a third world country, number one, we milk 10 liters, you take 4, I take 4, and we are leaving 2 liters sold at a price of 10 liters.
Mm.
And
I
then
mean,
when a lot of noise is made about the availability of milk, we know, okay, we normally milk at 6 a.m. Let's do another milking at 10 a.m. We try again. So at 10 a.m. maybe it produces 3 liters.
maybe it
Out of
doesn't
that,
even produce anything, but you still record it as a
we
production that has
record.
been.
What we do, we
Mm.
record some of it,
Yeah.
and then we take some which we had stored.
Yeah.
We now sell it at a higher price because tell them hii maziwa ya pili is a bit expensive because ng'ombe anasumbua kutoa maziwa saa 4. So we now sell them from our 4 liters. You produce one, I give one, and we sell them at a price of 5 liters. Then after a lot of noise has been made, we say, I think the best way forward is we buy another cow. So we put pressure on the people. We get more money we increase the taxation. We buy another cow, then we slaughter this other one.
Exactly. Or
Mm.
even the one that is producing your milk, You don't even feed it good feed, but you
Yes.
still want it to be producing at optimum.
Optimum
So
capacity.
you're not feeding anything to generate what you're looking for,
Zero
and nothing
input,
comes
but
out of nothing.
you expect maximum output.
Man, I mean, I don't know if you've heard of that. They sort of, would you call it a legend or one of those stories
Mm.
said of there was a Kenyan minister who went to visit his British counterpart in the UK.
Mm. Mm.
It was the minister of infrastructure went to visit his British counterpart.
Mm.
So they meet formally, they finish their meeting. Then the minister in the UK minister tells his Kenyan counterpart, "Hey, brother, why don't you come over for dinner at my place?"
Mm.
So the Kenyan minister goes to visit the UK minister, and
Mm.
man, he's wowed by his nice palatial house.
Mm.
Um, all the trappings. You've got all the trappings of wealth. And he'll say, "Oh, wow, my friend, you're doing very well. How did you come about this wealth?" And then he tells him, "Come, come, come, I show you. You see that railway road? 10%. You see that highway? 10%. See that exchange? 10%. Several years later, the Kenyan minister invites his UK counterpart to come visit him in Kenya. So he comes to Kenya, they do the usual formal meetings. After they were done, the Kenyan minister tells his UK counterpart, "Hey, my brother, why don't you come visit me for dinner at my house?" So the UK minister goes to visit his Kenyan counterpart. And man, again, he's wild. He's got this big, huge, huge house, got several cars by the garage, a 6-car garage with the top of the range,
Mm.
luxurious exotic cars that you can think of. Then he says, "Oh, wow, my friend, I can see you're doing well. How did you do this?" So the Kenyan minister comes and tells him, "Come, come, I show you. You see that highway?" Then "Which highway?" There's literally nothing to show. 110%. You see that railway line? There's no railway
which
line.
which railway line?
At least the UK minister, as much as he
There's
ate
something to
something,
show.
there was
There's
something to
something.
show. The Kenyan
Mm.
minister had nothing to show. So this idea that we don't desire good, we just want to show pictures of how we enjoyed the nice train system in the UK, in Europe, in North America, and many other places, the great highway systems, the infrastructure, the clean cities. We don't desire that for ourselves enough to desire putting that in our own cities. And it's not that it's not achievable. I mean, we've heard of these stories that some of the people running some of those urban infrastructure in places like the UK, Qatar, are
They are
Kenyan
Kenyans.
educated. They're Kenyan.
Mm.
So the talent is there. And it's not that they were educated from anywhere else. They were educated very much here. So why? Why do we hate ourselves? Why don't we desire the best for ourselves? Man, it still baffles me, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how that generational, if you may want to call it a generational curse or a mental reorientation, needs to happen. And by when, I mean, there's no even effort to begin changing that. I mean, places like
We are actually
Rwanda,
sliding back.
we are actually sliding back in many cases, and that's very true.
Mm.
And that's why sometimes when you look at the Rwanda example, it's one that you can admire, and you can see how the president, as much as is doing sort of some of the hardware improvement in terms of good roads, you can see the high rises, you can see the build up of cities, is at the same time working on the software element where there's programs like umuganda is community coming together to take care of their surroundings, the idea of cleanliness where there are you know local Rwandans sweeping the road every day. So there's you pay a fee for that to ensure it's maintained, and there are people doing that. It's never a one-off effort. It's there's an
A
effort to
continuous.
it's a continuous thing.
It's
I was
like
actually talking about
it's more like a lifestyle. The way you wake up in the morning and brush your teeth. There's
Correct.
no like somebody telling you, no, you need to. No, you know very well if you don't take off your teeth, you're in trouble.
I was
So,
talking about it with respect to this. You've heard of this term called the cost of acquisition, and I
mm,
think there's a cost of maintenance. It's like you could give two people Mercedes Benz S550 at the same time, come back 5 years, you find one is already degraded and it's almost sitting somewhere not running, while another one is still running efficiently and effectively because one
mm,
maintained it.
mm,
It's one thing to own the car, it's another thing to maintain
to
it.
maintain it.
It's one thing to institute the idea of clean streets and clean cities without a plan to maintain that and enforce that. Yes, put the garbage trucks, garbage tons at almost every point on the street, but also have a way to ensure that you're sustaining and
Mm,
enforcing that culture. When it becomes culture, it becomes almost second nature to you, where you realize, no, I don't litter. I'll hold on
mm,
to my litter until I see a garbage can to dispose it there.
mm.
And that is not a 2 year, 5 year. It will take a
Lifetime.
generation. It will
That is
take a
an entire
generation for that
lifetime.
now to reset and for
Mm.
people now to take that
To
on.
create a situation whereby when you are seen littering, people are surprised at you. Which country are you from?
They'll shame you.
Mm,
So it even what you're doing now, instead of even having police to man
mm,
that, your
mm,
everyday person is policing that
mm,
behavior.
mm.
Mm. So, man, I think let's call it a night. Thank you very
One
much
hour done, no
for
problem.
1 hour 3 minutes. So we've still kept to our
Our
usual time in
standard.
terms of our standard in terms of how long our content would go.
Mm.
And I appreciate we had some good discussion. I saw there was a report that came out from the Kenya National Bureau. Is it
10 BS.
Bureau of NDS, the statistics company,
Mm.
on the demographics? I think it would be good we study that report, and I think it could provide some good
Content for next.
content for discussion.
No problem. Until then, adios.
See ya.